I do organize my stash quite a few times during the year, but I am really messy when I grab yarn from my stash. I'm just really excited I did meet my goal and finish this, and that I have been working on all of this new year, and that is the Ingrid sweater baby. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about all things knitting, my current projects, finished projects, sometimes planned projects, and also a bit of my yarn stash, just anything that pops into my head while we sit here and chat. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me this week, and Happy New Year! Last year was such a good year for knitting for me, and I really hope that this year will be just as great. I'm really excited for it. Every new year just fills me with so much excitement and creativity because I just see all of the opportunities for the new year. So I'm really excited to get started with this year. But first off, I thought we would talk about the things I've done in the last week. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing. And today I'm wearing my zipper sweater light. Here it is. I sadly haven't worn this a bunch since I finished it. I'm pretty sure I finished it in September, right around the start of fall. And I really wanted this sweater. It was my dream sweater. I had this yarn in my stash for a year. I had a great time knitting it up. I even got a zipper the exact same color, which I love. I think that's a really great detail, and I've done that for 2 zipper sweaters now, and I really think it elevates the look to have the zipper be completely seamless and just melt into the rest of the garment. So really happy about that, and just everything I loved. But when I washed it, I did as I always do. I washed it in the washing machine, which I've never had problems with before, superwash or not. This is not superwash, this is Drops Daisy. But with this one I did have problems, so it's not that it is completely felted, because as you can see it still fits, and it fits about the same way it did before I washed it, but the stitches and everything is just, it's a bit felted, and you can definitely feel in the fabric that it is on the verge of felting, but I don't think it is super noticeable when you just glance at it, so that's good. And it's still super comfortable. Drops Daisy, I have to say, I think it's the most comfortable yarn I've ever knit with. It's so soft, so I really enjoy that. But I think the disappointment of it felting, even though it hasn't done a lot with the end result, but just that feeling has kind of kept me away from using this sweater. And yeah, I've just kind of tried to put it behind me. But I'm going to try to do something with that this year, because the color and honestly the fit, this was kind of the fit I wanted from this zipper sweater, because I already have another zipper sweater that is baggier, more oversized, bigger, the fabric is looser on that, so I already have a zipper sweater like that, so this was kind of the goal. It just really stung that it felted in the washing machine, and I for quite some time thought the issue was Drops Daisy, and that's the one yarn I've ever encountered that I can't wash in the washing machine. But then I also washed my Dagmar jacket in the washing machine, which I knit in Nepal, which I've washed in the washing machine probably 100 times before without the issue, and that also felted about the same amount as this. And I realized that the issue is not the sweaters, the issue is the washing machine, the issue is not the yarn, it's the washing machine, and something's wrong with that makes so the sweaters don't dry in the spin cycle, so it just keeps spinning them, keeps trying to dry them, and that agitates knitting too much. So I have to figure that out somehow, but in the meantime I've actually learned to wash by hand, and I quite like that process as well, as a way to be more like involved in the finishing of the project, so I might just stick to that. But yeah, I really hope I'll like find peace with the fact that this felted slightly and that I'll use it more, because I do really like how it fits. The sleeves are just a tad bit short when I move around, but not really. The sweater hits me exactly where I like them to hit me, and it will probably be an open zipper sweater for me, because if I am to close it up, I will have to say though that the zipper and the ribbing in the neck is actually one thing that got bigger when I washed it, so it really definitely didn't felt that much. But I just don't love the way it looks on me when it's all the way zipped up. I don't love that with my other zipper sweater either, so that's just my preference when it comes to zipper sweaters. I much more prefer it this way, and yeah, I think with the fit of this and everything, this also just makes sense to me. But yeah, that's one of my goals this year, to go through. I want to go through my stash. That's something I really want to get to this week. I had hoped I would get to this my stash like the New Year weekend, but I haven't had time at all, and the stash is big, you can't even see all of it, and the worst part of it is definitely on the floor. I do organize my stash quite a few times during the year, but I am really messy when I like grab yarn from my stash. Everything just explodes, floats all over, so it's a mess, but it's going to take me some time, but I want to get to that. But I also want to get to my like sweater stash. I do have quite a few sweaters now. I have knit loads for myself the past 2 years, and I also have knit for myself for many years before that, so I want to go through that, see what do I actually wear. I know I have some sweaters in there that I am just disappointed in and don't wear, either because of the color or the fit or something, so I want to get through that as well. I have bought a new closet for my knitwear that will get here in the next few weeks. I'll probably do it then, and my goal is to either get rid or donate or sell the sweaters that I just am too disappointed in and never will wear, and then I want to learn to love the ones that I love like at my core, but just have like small faults like this one that's slightly felted, but I still love it. I just want to learn to get past those mistakes. So that's one of my big goals this year. But I think that's enough rambling before we get into this week. And I think like every week before, for now I think the past year almost, we'll talk about the wedding dress. I started knitting the wedding dress the 22nd of February last year, because that's my parents' wedding anniversary, and I thought that would be like a nice symbolic thing, and it's also actually going to be the day we get married, so I just thought it would be fun to kind of have the wedding dress as on my needles or as a project I work on for a whole year, and to also have the like start and end date be my parents and then our wedding. But here it is. I'll just grab all the pieces because over the past 10 months this has grown into a big deal. But let's see. I did start with the main thing because of course that's like the most important thing, and also where I had the most of a vision. I bought in January, that's almost a year ago now, that I bought this yarn when visiting a friend. I bought this yarn. I bought 20 skeins of Sandnesgarn Sisu and 10 skeins of Sandnesgarn Alpaca Følledra. That was more than enough. I still have 8 skeins of Sisu left and 4 skeins of Alpaca Følledra left. So I got that for the main wedding dress, and then I got Drops Kid Silk in the color Mist and in the color of white for the mohair skirt that I thought would be kind of like my, what would you call it in English, like the underskirt you usually have, but I wanted it over and in mohair to make it poofy. But I started on this, and I started down here knitting back and forth with these cables here, and this is made without increases, just knitting back and forth. It really didn't look like anything. And then in the back I added some I-cord to make it like a corset back, and my idea was that because I didn't do increases, a corset back would sort that out. So that was the next thing I did, and the first time I got to try it on, which I think was in like April, so the first part took me quite some time. And then I did these straps, which also took me some time because I kept putting them at the wrong place and having to measure, and everything just took forever. But I think I finished that in May, and then started the really long process of doing this skirt. I picked up, this is the only place I did increases for this skirt actually, which I think I might like, but I also think I might regret it. I don't know, but I'm not going to go back on it, so I'm just going to teach myself to be happy with it. But from the I-cord I did down here, because the whole dress started with an I-cord, where I picked up stitches to knit the top, and then I picked up stitches to do the skirt, and I picked up 3 stitches in every like 1 stitch, and that's the only increase I did for all of this. And then I started knitting away at the skirt, and as I did that I also decided that would be a good time to start the mohair skirt. This is knit on 3.5mm the top, and then the skirt is on 4mm needles, and this is on 8mm needles with Drops Kid Silk double stranded. And of course this grew a lot faster, so I would knit a bit on this and a bit of this, and then I would take ridiculously long breaks, because it's hard to stay motivated for a project you're just going to work on for so long, and that is just like miles and miles and miles and miles of stockinette, and that you're also stressed about, will I like this, how will this turn out? But yeah, knit on these just here and there for quite some time, and then I think the next thing I did, I just knit on these, tried it on, and then I figured I wanted some extra detail at the waist of the wedding dress, because everything was looking a bit plain, and I think I didn't love how it looked in the waist, so I decided to make a belt, and that was in August, September ish time, I think. And that was this belt, and knitting the belt didn't take that long. I think that took me maybe a day or two, but then sewing in these pearls took me actually forever. So I say the belt was finished knit in September, but then I didn't finish the pearls until October, middle of October, and by then I had also knit another part, and this is the one part of the wedding dress that is from an actual pattern, and that is the mist sleeves by Garnoslikt. I'll see if I can try them on over this sweater, but like this is the general idea. It does not look great over the zipper sweater, but it's the exact kind of sleeves I wanted for the wedding dress. It still shows off the square neckline of the wedding dress. It does sadly hide the cabled straps, but it shows off this without cutting off the wedding dress. It has sleeves to make my arms stay warm during winter, because February wedding will be cold, and the sleeves are also puffy, but they taper down into a tiny I-cord here, so they won't get in my way. And also love this detail of the twist in the back and front of the neck, and this is knit with 3 strands of the Drops Kid Silk that I got for the mohair skirt. So these were the 2 first pieces that I did finish, and then this was the next thing I finished, and this I think I finished in November, so that took me quite some time. but felt great to finish. And when I cast it on, it was also much easier to try on, which was also a big plus, because putting all of these stitches for both of these things on stitch holders it has taken so long. So once I put them on stitch holders, I won't put them back on the needle, and when they're on the needle, I don't want to put them on the stitch holders to try it on, because it just takes so long. So it was great to at least eliminate one of those. And I am quite happy with the length. I have gotten comments that it will stretch in length if I just let it hang, and I still haven't found a great place to let it hang, but it has hung somewhere, and I think it will be a great length. I am excited to try this both on as soon as I get the opportunity, because my goal for last year, the last goal I had set myself, was to finish this dress before the new year. And on New Year's Eve, I sat and I knit and I knit and I knit, and I did finish, which I'm really happy about. I actually, that day, also got a steamer, because I thought if I'm going to have a chance at finishing this today, I have to steam it so I see how much it grows. And it did actually grow quite a bit with steaming, and the stitches evened out, and the whole thing just looked way better before, which also gave me a lot more motivation. So that was definitely the right thing to do. And then I had to knit, I think after that I had to knit 6 centimeters, which I just chugged away at that, and I think like a minute to midnight I cast off the last stitch, and it was just amazing to finally be done knitting this. And in this episode, this wedding dress is a finished object. I'm going to call it that, because I want to just revel in it being finished for a little while. But I have to say, it's definitely not finished. I have ends to weave in, I have details to add, I have things to figure out. So I think in next video and podcast again, it will be back to being a whip. But for this one, we'll just say it's a finished object. We'll just all take pleasure in the fact that I finished knitting it, which was a really big thing. And I think now that it's done, I can try it on properly with all the parts to see how all of that fits. It will be much easier to do the details, and I also don't think I'm going to do that many details. It's like weaving in the ends, that's like the main thing. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I have tried it on like just the wedding dress. I have tried that on after finishing it, but I've not been able to try it on with everything else. But I am just really happy, and I've got to steam. I did steam the last part of the dress yesterday, and I also ironed, because I just cast this off like regular cast off, and that of course curled up a lot. So I've steamed it, I've ironed just the edge here, and the fabric feels so much better, both to touch and also to wear. It looks better. I'm so happy with how it is now. I've also, during the last week, sewn in an elastic in the waist here, just to make that fit me a bit better when wearing it, and to hopefully hold up also the weight of the skirt a bit better. This, now when I'm wearing it without shoes, hits the floor just a bit, like a centimeter of it is on the floor. But I think with shoes, this will all be perfect. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I did meet my goal and finish this. And that also meant that I logged all of the yarn of both this and the belt and the mohair skirt into Knit and Note. And I think for all of these, I had used, I can't remember how many meters it was, but it was quite a lot, and I'm really happy I also got that on my stats for 2024, because I did knit all of this in 2024, so it would be a bit like silly if all of those meters had been added to my 2025 statistics. It's not, doesn't matter that much in the long run, but it matters to me, so I'm also happy about that. But yeah, that's my wedding dress. It is done. Not really, but it's done, and I couldn't be more happy about it. And that's also something I'm really happy about, because I think the last time I talked about the wedding dress, I kind of hated it, which made the goal of finishing it harder, because I had like a good half a week where I didn't even want to look at it, because I did not like the look of it. I did not like the way it fit me. I just did not vibe with it at all. But now I really, really like it, and I'm going to attribute a lot to that, to the steaming of this and what that did to the whole thing. So that's a reminder to me in the future that when I hate a project, I should just stop and do a midway block or something. And also giving myself some time to just hate it, I think also was a good idea. But yeah, that's enough for me babbling on the wedding dress as well. But that is my one finished project this week, and I haven't finished any projects yet in 2025. But I think I am getting close to it. But let's talk about my current projects, and I do have a few. I don't know if I'll remember them all, because of course I've been mainly working on the wedding dress, and then after the wedding dress I just wanted to reward myself. So after that I've been knitting on baby knits, which is like the last few years I've been knitting a lot for myself, and this year I really want to go back to more of like my roots, what got me back into knitting when I started 4 years ago, and that was baby knits. And I don't think there is anything that brings me more joy than to knit baby knits, and I love knitting for myself, but it's also carried with it a lot of stress. So hopefully knitting more baby knits for a little while will help that. But we'll start with my projects from the oldest to the newest. Maybe I will take it also in the order I think is the oldest to newest, but here is the Alfred sweater. This is a sweater I'm making for my son in this lovely texture, and this is a knit I'm really excited to get back to now in the new year. This has not been a priority during the festive season, because I had so much else to work on in the festive season, and then the wedding dress for New Year's. But now that we're in the new year and I don't have that many deadlines, at least, I am really eager to get back to this. I have stolen the needle from this, but I'm pretty sure that the project I stole the needle for, don't use that needle anymore, so I can get back to working on this. I would say I'm about halfway through this, so it will be great to work on. This will also just be a little mindless project and knitting on here and there in between other things. I am knitting it in a size that I think 2 years bigger than my son is now, so I don't have to stress about it. I can just knit on it when I feel like it, which is nice. And then let's see, what's the next one then? I think the next one then is my Christmas sweater, and I think last time we spoke I had started knitting a sleeve and figured out that it was a bit too big for my liking, and I asked, and some thought it was okay, and some people gave me really good tips on what to do if I wanted to change it. And I wanted to change it because even though I am in the market for a sweater with big sleeves, which this could have given me, I am also not in the market for a sweater with big sleeves and then not a big body. I wanted my like dream oversized sweater which will be big in the sleeves. I also want to be big everywhere. I don't want it to like fit me like this in the body and then the sleeves be huge, and that's kind of what this would have done. So the tip I got for fixing the armhole depth so I wouldn't have to frog the whole body was that I could frog the sleeve. Of course I did have to do some frogging, but I'd done like 20 rows on the sleeve, so that didn't really bother me. And then after I'd frogged the sleeve I could mattress stitch together two different sides of the armhole to decrease the depth, and that's exactly what I've done, and I'm going to show you on the side where I don't have the sleeve, but down here where this like thing is where the armhole stopped before. And I had to cast on 3 stitches at the bottom of the armhole, so didn't know how to fix that. So that has like a little like thing here, but that's going to be under the arm, so I don't think it matters, and I also think it will almost disappear once it's washed and blocked. And then you can kind of see the amount I decreased the armhole length by, and it's quite a few centimeters. I think it's like maybe 8 centimeters, so that's a lot. And now this is the armhole I'm left with, which is still a decent sized armhole. Here you can see the sleeve I'm currently working on. Let's see, and I also got some comments that my pickup rate is a bit too frequent, so it makes the sleeve flare. And I think that might be right. I did the same pickup this time, and I think the sleeve might flare, but I also think that that's an issue that blocking can solve, so I'm not going to go back and fix that, because I'm going to just trust the process and trust blocking to fix that for me. But I wanted to try it on now, actually, to see how oversized or not oversized the sleeves are, and how that did work out with that fix. I haven't tried it on because having to fix those sleeves kinda took a bit of motivation from me, and this is also I've called it my Christmas sweater the whole time working on it, and as we all know, it's no longer Christmas. But yeah, this is how the sleeve fits. And it still is more oversized than I usually get for sleeves, and I think it just fits the rest of the sweater better, and also I decreased the amount of material I get under here, so I definitely think this was the right thing to do. And hopefully me trying it on now, I really like how this sits on me, and the turtleneck, the color. Hopefully this gets me back to working on this, because I have not worked on it for almost a full week. I set out to fix the armhole issue immediately, because I knew if I don't, this will never be fixed. So I did that immediately, and then it stopped being Christmas, and I just got really disappointed in myself, honestly, for not having finished my Christmas sweater on time. But I kind of knew that was a possibility the whole time, because I started this amidst all of the Christmas gifts I was going to do, and I also know Christmas is not really a break. It's a really busy time, loads of things you're supposed to do with family. We also want to see the friends that go back home here, and we want to be with them, so it's not really a time where I get a lot of knitting done. But I was really, and still am, really disappointed I did not finish this on time, so that has kind of stopped my progress. Not kind of, it has completely stopped my progress, but I'm trying to make myself remember that I just actually love this sweater, and I think that I honestly will get a lot of wear out of this almost year round, and definitely this winter if I were to finish it. I still think a red sweater with stars scattered throughout fits in winter, but yeah, as I talked about with my zipper sweater, once I get disappointed and like bad feelings tied to a project, I really struggle to wear it or to knit on it or just be around it. So yeah, that's something I'm going to work on this year, and I think finishing this project, even though it's not Christmas, would be a great way to start, because of course I could wait until next Christmas, but I want to knit on it while I still remember what I'm planning to do for the rest of the sweater, for the decrease frequency for the sleeves, how I want to do all of the ribbing. I want to knit on it while I still remember what I want to do. And as I said, I think I can get good use out of it this winter. I really like the turtleneck. I think a turtleneck in winter would be great. I just don't like the turtlenecks I've knit before, but I really like that one, and I really like the color, and I really like everything. So fingers crossed I'll get back to working on it. Yeah, I really hope so. And then let's see what my next project was. I think my next project is my Christmas cast on, and that's another project where I've stolen the needle. So this is also on some try-on tubing, and the try-on tubing is a bit wonky. So let's see if I can straighten that out so it's a bit easier to see. But this is my Christmas cast on, and it's the Charlie Pullover by Morecaknit, and I haven't knit this, but this is my second project from Morecaknit, and I have to say I think it's one of my favorite designers. I know I haven't knit a ton, but for like myself and the clothes I make myself, it's definitely one of my favorites. And also just as a knitter, I really like it because it challenges me the perfect amount. I get to try like all of the like techniques I have done before, but not in this way. So I have done double knitting before, but not like this. I have done German short rows before, but not like this. I have done Judy's Magic cast on before, but not like this. So I know how to do it, but I still have to keep a close eye on the pattern because the way I naturally want to do it is not the way I'm supposed to do it. So that's been really fun. And also it was my first time doing increases in double knitting, which was really fun. So yeah, I just feel every time I knit a Morecaknit pattern, I end up learning so much and having so much fun. And of course, I don't know how this will fit me yet because it's not anywhere near being done, but the thing I've knit before also fit me so great when it was done, and it's definitely one of my favorite things I've ever made. So yeah, highly recommend Morecaknit. I'm going to knit more from her this year myself, but this is my progress on the Charlie Pullover. So you start with this part here with Judy's Magic cast on and knit that, and you knit from here to here, and then you pick up stitches for the double knitting in between your stitches and knit this double knitting with the increases here. That was probably the hardest part for me. It was new to me, and you had to throw your yarn different ways, and I always forgot which way I was supposed to throw the yarn, and it was just a mess. But after some frogging and after looking at the pattern more regularly, I did figure it out, and I'm really happy with how it looks. But it took absolutely forever. I'm also a very tight knitter when I double knit, unless I pay a lot of attention to it. So I had to pay a lot of attention to it all the time, so my gauge wouldn't be off. And double knitting, as you might know, just takes absolutely forever, but it was worth it, and I really like how it looks. I can't wait to get further on the body on this. I can see better how the color will sit. And then after that you started back from where you had knit this first part and knit those stitches together. And then I started on the like actual body with the increases, and this has a really broad saddle shoulder, which I'm really excited about, and some really exciting German short rows that weren't like anything I'd done before. So this has a lot of shaping, and now I'm just working on the increases every single row. I don't know how many I have left, not that many, and then I'm going to be working the fronts and the back separately. And the thing I'm really excited about is when I'm done doing all of that and I can connect it all in the round, I want to say, but like connect it all, even though, no, I think I'm going to be knitting in the round maybe then. I'm really excited about that because that means I can try it on. It means I can actually see, because it's quite hard to see now. I think this is the first time it's kind of looked like a sweater. It was a really long time where my fiance just would make fun of me for knitting on this because he didn't think it looked like anything at all. But now it's starting to actually look like something, but I'm excited for it to look even more like a sweater. So I just want to work on this all the time, but as I said, something else stole the needle from this, and I've just been focusing on baby knits for a little while now to kind of clear my system, because even though I'm having fun with at least this knit for myself, it's just been a lot of knitting for myself and a lot of stress surrounding knitting lately. So just want to go back to the thing that stresses me out the least, which is baby knits. But this I've done with 1.5 skeins of my yarn. This is Pickles Extra Fine Merino, which runs longer than any other like DK. I would say this is DK. It's a lot thicker than fingering, at least. It is really close to being a DK. But this is 140 meters, whereas other DK merinos I've knit with has been 105, 110. But yeah, this is what's left of my second skein, and I'm going to connect that soon. I think the needle that was stolen from this is almost free again too, so hopefully I'll get back to working on this as well. And as you can see, this is yet another thing in red. They are very different reds, but I've been loving red. I loved red all of 2024, and it does not seem like that obsession is going to stop anytime soon. Every time I see red, I'm just like, oh, I want to knit something in that, and every pattern I see, I'm like, oh, that would look really good in red. But that's my Charlie pullover, probably one of the things I'm the most excited to keep knitting on, but that's probably why it's at the end of the queue, because I want to save this for when my like motivation dips for all of the other projects, and I really hope I'll be able to work on the Christmas sweater before this, just so I can get that out of the world and finish that and just not leave it to rot. And then the very last project that's on my needles, I think, if I haven't completely forgotten about something, but then the very last project is what I have been working on all of this new year, and that is the Ingrid sweater baby. This has been one of my plans. Last time I went through my yarn stash, I separated a lot of baby knits into bags like this, with all the yarn and then a label that tells me what I can make and the size and how many grams of yarn this is. And I have 3 bags like that with Ingrid sweater baby yarn. This is the first one. I'm knitting this in Sun Has Gone Smart in this color, which I don't know what is called, but like dark pink, dark old pink something maybe. And I had 150 grams of yarn of this, and that corresponds to the size 1 to 3 months in the Ingrid sweater baby. And this does not look like 1 to 3 months to me. It looks really big, but I think maybe the Ingrid is supposed to be oversized even for the small babies. But yeah, this looks really big. But this is what I've done. I've finished the body and the neck, and now I'm halfway maybe through the first sleeve. So I really think this will be done maybe today. And then I have to make the decision if I want to cast on another one of these or another baby knit, or if I want to finish everything else on my needles. And I haven't quite decided yet. I want to finish what's on my needles and make sure I don't cast on too much instead of working on what I have. But also after a stressful December, and yeah, December and the end of December always puts me in a bit of a knitting slump after I'm done with all of the deadline knits and yeah, all of the stress that is December. I'm in a bit of a slump. So this year I've decided that I'm just going to allow myself to knit on whatever I want for a little while at least, because I have to get back to the wedding dress, for example. I still have some knits that I like have to work on, but I also want to just leave some space at least this first week of January to just get back in my knitting groove and get back in love with everything. But I really think I will. I have already made my winter plans here. That helped a lot. Before I did that, I didn't want to knit at all. I just did other things, but that helped. Now I really want to knit on all of those plans. And then I'm going to go through my stash, hopefully after this. And that also, I think, will help a lot to do that, because then I will go through my yarn and see all of the fun yarn I have fun plans for, and I think that will also remind me how much fun I actually have knitting and how many fun projects I have planned. So just now, before I do all of that, I just want to knit on the things that I actually want to knit on and not force myself anymore, because in December I have to force myself a lot to work on different projects because they are on deadlines. So I'm taking a bit of a break from that now. But this is the Ingrid sweater baby in 1 to 3 months in Sandnes Garn Smart, and I still have a basket full of knitting plans for babies and friends and family having babies at the end of this winter season. So I'm going to be knitting a lot of baby clothes this year, and I'm really excited about it. But yeah, that's the last thing on my needles, and also just the last thing I have, because I've already talked about my one finished project. So, and also last year I did finish my basket of shame. Right now it is filled with just random things. Some of the projects I finished, weaving in ends on, this thing, just random things. But this is also going to get an overhaul once I actually get to my stash. But right now everything is kind of in like that awkward phase in the transition between the years, and transition between being a basket of shame and hopefully being where I keep my current projects. So yeah, everything is just in a transitional phase, but I'm really excited to be entering a new year. I think this year will be great in all ways, and hopefully also when it comes to knitting. And I have to say it again, I'm really, I did finish that wedding dress. It has kind of been weighing on me, and I know some of you guys were starting to get stressed as well because it's less than 2 months left. But yeah, that's all I have to say this week. It kind of feels weird to not end this off with weaving in ends, but I'm just going to end it here. I hope you had a fun time watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. That means the absolute world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!